Greetings, Marvel Strike Force fans. I am Cerebro, your community manager, and welcome to your community update. There's a lot of news that dropped this week over on MarvelStrikeForce.com in the update section, including the 2021 second half preview blog. There you'll find information about Dark Dimension 5, including the prize, the Mighty Dormammu, a number of quality of life improvements, and even a tease at a brand new game mode coming in early 2022. But man, the standout for me are those costumes. Just look at that brutal Carnage costume. I absolutely love it. You know, he should start an Instagram to let us all know how he dropped all that belly weight. I'm betting it's a low sodium, high protein diet. All right, guys, I am very excited to have back with us on the show today, Mr. Rick Maher. How are you, good sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. So as usual on Strike Time, we're here to talk about brand new characters, but this one is rather unique. Whom are we here to talk about today?
Well, I'm happy to talk about our second original character. We are bringing it to Marvel Strike Force. It is Deathpool.
Now, I'm sure when you said that, we had a bunch of viewers now furiously trying to look up this character and probably not getting a whole lot of information on it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
This is an original character, which means this character has not existed before today in the Marvel canon. So there's not going to be a lot of information on her quite yet, but there will be some fun stuff you can look up in terms of the background, like the origins of the character, because she has very strong ties to some of Deadpool's stories involving Death and Thanos.
Okay, three big names there, and I'm really chomping at the bit to kind of dive into some of that, but might be getting a little ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the beginning. Where did the idea for creating this original character come from?
Yeah, so actually it was super fun and pretty cool. So this year is Deadpool's 30th. So Marvel's celebrating that with an event I believe they're calling the Nerdy 30 for Deadpool. And they came to us and they let us know about an opportunity where we could kind of indulge and celebrate Deadpool's anniversary in a way we thought would be like kind of the most fun, most awesome way to do that. And original character was brought up, and we wanted to jump at the chance to do that because how could you not?
So I'm assuming they didn't have to do a whole lot of arm twisting with us, right?
No, none at all. I think basically as soon as they brought up the opportunity, they basically couldn't stop us, I guess, from like kind of just going with a bunch of ideas. And we wanted to collect a bunch of pitches from the studio because basically everyone wanted to get in on it. You know, I'm glad you brought that up, Rick, because I actually joined in on the fun. I created my own pitch for this whole campaign that we were doing. And I have to admit, I was a little salty at first when I found out that my pitch was not chosen. But then once it was presented to me what did actually win, I was like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty darn cool. I really want to see that. Yeah, for sure. I think actually the process that we went through to kind of collect ideas and we had a group of individuals like kind of narrow that huge list down to like a top number. Yeah. And then we took that smaller list and we made concept images for like several ideas, and we shopped that around to more people at the studio and also Marvel. That's when we got Marvel to jump back in the conversation and take a look at them and see kind of some of the initial ideas that we had. So the reason why I snagged you today, a little birdie told me that you were actually the one that pitched this. Was that correct? Yes. Yeah. So I obviously when I heard the opportunity for Deadpool, original character, I really wanted to pitch an idea. And one of my personal favorite things about Deadpool is his bizarre relationship with death, both the concept of death and the character death, and Thanos, and the relationships between those three characters, and it comes up several times throughout a few different runs of the comics, so you can kind of like look up and see interactions. There's I forget some of the names. I forget the name exactly. I think there was like one of the anniversary editions. There was like a one shot that talked about his origins and his past, and a lot of that was kind of like flashbacks induced by death. And then there's some other comics like Funeral for a Freak and things like that where you see a lot of it. So I had a pitch, and Marvel and other folks kind of like they got excited about it too, and they gave me some initial options for like, oh, we could go this way or this way or this way, because like everyone just had ideas, right? Like
that's the double-edged sword to pitching things, because then you own it, and now you have to do all the work with it. So it's like, it's cool at first, you're like, yes, this got approved, and you're like, and then you realize, oh man, I just gave myself a whole lot of more work to do.
I did. It was a lot, and it wasn't just me. Like it was. Making characters is a very collaborative effort, and this was no exception. When it's an original character, there's just a lot more you have to do in terms of thinking about like origin and story and what powers they have, what they can and can't do, and like how does that translate into gameplay. Like all that other stuff is you have to do all the normal work, but then some extra, because you can't just go open up a comic book and find references, right?
So now you're designing the character, and then I know, when we design a character, we're usually doing that in conjunction with some other characters, maybe even putting them together with a whole team. How then do you go about that process?
If you've been playing the game for any amount of time, you're probably super familiar with the concept of us giving traits to teams of characters that kind of work together for synergies.
Yeah. So
that's a super common thing, and we went back and forth on it, and then after a while, we did come up with the trait. The trait is New Warriors. So I don't know if we've talked about that yet, but yeah,
I don't think so.
So the trait is New Warriors,
Headline.
and we have a couple other characters that will be coming out in the same release as Deathpool that will be sharing the tag.
So the New Warriors. Okay, so she's the first character we're announcing of this new little team called New Warriors. More characters coming in the coming weeks. All right, this is all my good information, but I think we've kept our audience in suspense long enough. They want to know about the kit. They want to know what she's going to do. And in typical fashion, we usually like to start with her passive ability that kind of sets the stage for the rest of her kit. So if you would please do the honors and let us know her passive.
Yeah, we can start with the passive, although we're going to have to come back to it in a little bit, because there's a hook in there that'll come up later. So
Fair point.
So for the passive, we'll just start off with the stat bonuses that she has.
Okay.
She will give Mystic allies 10% drain, and she'll give herself and New Warrior allies 20% max health. So there's that. One of the big parts of her kit for her passive is on enemy death, she will heal herself for 10% max health, and then she'll attack the most injured enemy for 300% damage and clear 3 positive effects. So if you are fighting in something where there's like a lot of summons, or like extra little guys to kill, like in raid nodes, then this will proc a lot, and it'll do a lot of healing and a lot of extra damage in there. And she is particularly good in raids, not just because of that, but she also has some traded raid bonuses. So when she's in a raid, she'll also be on spawn, filling speed bar by 10%, plus 5% for each Mystic ally. Additionally, on enemy death, so not only will she do that heal and attack, she'll also generate 1 ability energy for 2 random Mystic allies or herself. And then on spawn, she'll gain +1 charged, up to a maximum of 5, and the charge part is relevant to the rest of her kit, but passively, charge will at least give her 5% drain for each charge. So in raids, when she spawns, she'll gain a charge, and that will give her a little bit of drain in addition to the 10% drain she's just giving to all Mystic allies.
So first on the heal self for 10% max health, and then attacks the most injured enemy. Yeah. Will that go through stealth? And also, will it target minions?
Yeah, so the attack that triggers on enemy death will, it just does a check for the most injured enemy. So that could be a minion, it could be somebody that's stealthed, it could be a stealth minion. It's just whoever has like the lowest percent current health. It's the same way we target, anytime we target lowest health, it does that, but ignoring all other modifiers.
Okay, and then on the point where it says on enemy death, generate 1 ability energy for 2 random Mystic allies or self. If she was the only Mystic on the field, would she generate 2 ability energy for herself?
Yeah, so it's when it's picking the random, it's not, it can pick the same person.
Okay.
And so if she was the only one, then she would be the only valid target for it. So if she was missing at least 2 ability energy and was the only person standing and an enemy died, she would gain +2 ability energy.
Nice. All right, then. Let's move on to her ultimate ability, please.
Yeah. So this one is pretty exciting. 3 energy cost on the ultimate. So this is a move you'll get to use a lot. You pick a primary target and you will clear death proof from that primary target. You will attack that primary target for 500% damage and apply 2 bleed for 2 turns. And then you'll gain +1 charged, which again, she will passively gain drain for charge. And then this attack gains 5,000% additional focus to help you land the bleeds.
Wow.
And clear the death proof from the primary. And then this is the sweet part where all the charge comes into play.
Okay.
Instead of doing the 500% damage, if you're at max charged, this attack will instead deal 20,000% piercing damage and then clear charged. And this charge version is unavoidable and cannot be blocked.
That seems like a lot. Is that enough to one-shot just about any character, if like at max level?
Yeah, so basically when the modifier is that high and it's piercing, it will pretty much just murder, about anyone. I'm sure there may be some rare circumstances where if, you had a low level or under geared, death pool, that it might not take out some of the bigger ones. But yeah, if you're playing in content that's, that you're appropriately tiered for, I think this pretty much just kills anyone.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when we first released Captain Marvel. I think her ultimate was able to almost get rid of just about anybody, but this one seems like it's pretty much guaranteed to do the deal. So almost like a Captain Marvel 2.0-ish, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, but way more. Like if you think about Captain Marvel as a comparison point, the number on this is much larger and it's also piercing. So they'll die. It'll just kill them.
They're just gone. That's just it.
In raids, this works out to you get to use it a bit more often because the charge will carry over from node to node.
All right, let's move on to her special ability.
So her special is a little bit more expensive than the ultimate. It's 5 energy cost, and this will transfer all negative effects from herself to the primary target. It will attack the primary target for 300% damage. It will then attack all adjacent targets for 270% damage. And then from any of those targets that are still alive, she will steal 10% health from those enemies and redistribute that to all mystic allies. Then additionally, she's not done, she will spread all negative effects from the primary target to all of the adjacents. Except for stun. It will not spread stun, but otherwise it will spread all the negative effects from the primary to adjacents that are still alive.
Wow, redistributing to all mystic allies. There's that mystic call out again. She really likes her mystic friends.
There are also a lot of other really powerful mystics in the game that would be nice to synergize with, like Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock and Ebony Maw. There's Doom. If you have Doom is also mystic. So there's a lot of mystic characters that are really good solo that don't normally have a lot of synergies with other characters or outside of their one very specific team.
And let's top this all off with her basic ability, please.
Basic, pretty fun. I like this one. It will clear all negative effects on the character. So in Death Pool, she'll clear all the negative effects. If it cleared any negative effects, she will then heal herself for 5% per negative effect removed. So it's similar to, if you're familiar with Deadpool's passive, then it's similar to that. And then after she does that, she will heal herself for 10% of max health. That heal will always happen, even if she doesn't remove negative effects. Then she will attack the primary and adjacents for 300% damage. Then she will clear death proof from those targets. Then, if any of those targets have stealth and or speed up, she will flip those. And then for any of those targets that are minions, instead of 300% damage, she will deal 600% damage.
Oof.
So the base damage is doubled for minions. And lastly, as a note, this attack cannot be blocked.
Okay, what's with the hate on the minions here? I gotta ask. What's her beef?
So I mean, the anti-minion synergy is kind of a call out to Deadpool. Similar to how I mentioned Deadpool's passive for the healing that she does in the basic. The anti-minion is kind of a call out towards Deadpool's ultimate, if you're familiar with his ultimate that he has in the game, where he does a little bit extra to minions.
So while we're on the subject of Deadpool, are there any updates to him in how he can possibly work with Deathpool?
If you're familiar right now, he has a chance to revive, and if Domino is an ally, he will always revive. So instead of a chance, it's a guaranteed revive. We're updating that to now also work with Deathpool.
Now, this might be a fairly obvious question to a number of our more skilled players out there, but which ISO 8 are you favoring for Deathpool?
I think that a really common one people will gravitate towards will be Striker. This character is pretty serious damage dealer, does a lot of damage, so just the passive boost to the damage stat will be very, very good on the character. The bonus Striker attack that comes along with that. Also, hers is pretty good. So I think that that's going to be a really natural fit for it. There might be some folks that like the healer class on her, but I think that's something that you'll have to play around with for yourself, because since she does a lot of healing, it's like either it's like she's adequate amount of healing and maybe you don't need the boost, or maybe depending on how your team's set up, they really like she's the only one healing, maybe you need a little bit more. So, and
then can you share any information about how she's going to be released?
We are doing an event campaign mission for the character, so similar to some of the characters in the past, where we have like a nice bit of story, like several chapters of story kind of accompanying the character. We plan on going through essentially Deathpool's origin story through the ECM. So there's going to be, like how I mentioned earlier, how there's a lot of inspiration from the comics about the relationships between Death and Thanos and Deadpool. Expect us to touch on those beats in the story.
And then one final thing that I actually want to circle back on. You mentioned this towards the beginning of the interview here. You talked about Marvel canon. What does it mean when a character is Marvel canon?
The short answer of it is that, it's not just like, headcanon, or it's not just like a, our own, like within our own bubble, an original character. It is now essentially part of the larger Marvel family. So that means that if Marvel or any of their other collaborators, like their talented artists or writers or anyone like that, wanted to do something with the character, they totally can use this character. So that means, although we don't have any plans or anything like that today, that means there is some chance that if somebody out there was excited about her, there could be, future stories involving Deathpool from people that aren't us.
Oh, that'd be awesome, man. Deathpool comics. Keeping our fingers crossed.
That'd be super fun. I would absolutely love to see something like that.
All right, Rick, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to stop by and give us the information on this character. A pleasure as always, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Love being able to share some information with players, so I'd be glad to be back any other time.
Thank you, sir. All right, it looks like I'm back to doing the community updates. Haven't done this for a little while, I'm a little rusty, but let's see how it goes. Jesse Milliner created a custom Kestrel minifigure, and she's actually looking pretty fly in her compact size. That's really creative, Jesse. Might I suggest next a mini Cerebro? That is, if you can find a piece that does this beard justice. And speaking of Kestrel, congratulations to Marat for snagging 100 character shards of the Winged Wonder. All right, I gotta know, 4-leaf clover, rabbit's foot, horseshoe, what'd you use? And do you have any extras? Richard Langley posted a screenshot of the Alliance's TSF Knight and Love Stan Lee ending their Alliance War match in a draw. Or as I like to call it, the Jack Kirby special. Because Stan would write and Jack would draw. Just go to the next. There was a lot of fan art submitted over the past few weeks, with many players flexing their illustrative prowess. This Venom illustration by Mr. Pie has a cool, stylized take on it, and reminds us that potentially carrying around a symbiote 24/7 might leave a bad taste in your mouth. This rendition of Cyclops by Hellion typifies how intense Scott Summers can be, and also shows us that a strong serif font can actually look good in a speech bubble. Who knew? And finally, this Silver Surfer piece by Cloud789 is an excellent composition sketched with charcoal. I've used charcoal before too. I know it's not an easy material to work with, so congrats on getting the extreme detail on those chiseled abs, which I'm totally not jealous of at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to give me a like. Come on, it's right there. Just hit it right there. Give me a like. Share this video with your Alliance mates, and we'll see you next time. Hey, did you guys know that this diamond is like crushed velvet? Oh, feels so good. Could do this all day long.